Okay, let's start with the hook. Imagine a team so desperate to fix their defense that they're willing to trade away next year's first-round pick, and then another one, and toss in a veteran player just to get a guy who's good, but not elite, at rushing the passer. That's the Dallas Cowboys we're talking about here, folks. But here's the twist. This isn't just a story about a failed trade. It's a window into the Cowboys' entire brain trust mentality, and honestly, it's kind of baffling. Let me explain why. So, the Raiders wanted 2 first-rounders and a player for Maxx Crosby. The Ravens gave them that, right? But the Cowboys tried to lowball them with a 2026 first-rounder, a second-rounder, and a veteran? Las Vegas said no, obviously. But why did Dallas even try this? Because Jerry Jones spent all offseason whining about needing to stop the run, but then suddenly pivoted to chasing a pass rusher? That's like saying you need a new roof because your house is leaking, then deciding to buy a sports car instead. It's disconnected. Personally, I think this highlights a massive identity crisis in Dallas. Are they building a defense, or just throwing darts at a board? Now, here's what stands out. Jones supposedly loved that Crosby had 4 years left on his deal at $29 million a year. Wait, but isn't that the same Jerry Jones who refused to pay Micah Parsons, arguably the best player in football, because he didn't want to set a market? If you take a step back, this feels like cognitive dissonance. They lost Parsons, a generational talent, over money, then tried to replace him with a guy who's solid but not in that tier. And they were willing to trade almost as much as they got back in the Parsons deal. That's not just ironic, it's self-sabotage. A detail I find fascinating is how this exposes their valuation of players. Parsons was worth holding out, but Crosby? Not enough to meet the Raiders' demands. So what's the actual plan? Let's zoom out. The Cowboys' entire defense last year hinged on Parsons. When he wasn't there, the whole thing collapsed. So of course they need a pass rusher. But instead of fixing it in free agency or the draft, they gambled on this. And here's the kicker. Pass rushers always matter. They're second only to quarterbacks because they wreck offenses. But Dallas didn't just need any rusher, they needed a star. Crosby's good, but he's not changing the culture of a defense. What many people don't realize is that losing Parsons wasn't just about losing a player. It was about losing a chess piece that elevates everyone else. You can't replace that with a trade. You have to rebuild around it. And yet, Dallas is acting like they won the Parsons trade. They keep saying, "Look how much we got for him." But if you drafted a top 5 player and traded him for picks, you didn't win, you panicked. The fact that they even considered this Crosby deal proves they know they made a mistake. Why else try to overcompensate with a veteran? They're chasing a shortcut. In my opinion, this is the same flawed thinking that's haunted the Cowboys for years, prioritizing flashy moves over sustainable building. And it's not just them. Every NFL team does this. But when you've got a quarterback like Dak Prescott, you can't afford to be this reckless with defensive stars. So here's the deeper question. Why do teams keep failing to value generational talents properly? The Rams gave up a king's ransom for Jalen Ramsey. The Chiefs locked up Patrick Mahomes long-term. But Dallas? They let Parsons walk. And now they're scrambling to fix it with Band-Aids. Maybe the real lesson here is that ego, Jerry Jones' ego, costs more than money. It costs identity. What this really suggests is that no amount of draft picks or veteran additions can fix a front office that doesn't understand its own priorities. And if you're a Cowboys fan, you're probably used to this by now. But hey, at least the season's about to start. Maybe they'll just draft a new pass rusher next year? Let me know what you think in the comments.